Hey everybody, welcome! Another deck profile, Dark World. So, let's just get started right away. This is for the current format. If you were watching this around the time it came out. If you're not, well then this is for April 2014. I think that's the ban list. Better not be wrong. Ugh, hopefully. So, anyways, let's start. So, first, Dark World deck. 3 Grapha. I have occasionally seen people say 2. Don't listen to them. This guy's amazing on 3. Discard and destroy card. On top of that, he's your main monster anyways, so special summon him. I mean, he is searchable easily with this deck, but definitely 3. Keep him at 3. Snow, discard, and then you can add Dark World card from your deck to your hand. Really good. Beige, special summon him when he gets discarded. You only need 2. It's not as heavily needed. Unlike Snow and Brow, like, who get you stuff you need, Beige kind of gets onto the field to summon Grapha, which you can get Beige or Grapha, whoever you need, through the other guys. So, you only need 2 Beige. Now, there is other guys who can get you, who can be special summoned to the field and stuff, but I'll talk about that in a minute. Trance Archfiend. Really good card. Summon it to the field. Discard the card, preferably a Dark World. Dark World gets its effect. This card gains 500 attack. And when he dies, you can add a banished dark monster to your hand. Your fiend dark guys will get banished through Gate to the Dark Worlds. Then you get to add them back. Now, a lot of times you don't need to add most of them back, but just in case if you happen to have to banish a Grapha, then boom, get it back. Brow, discard him with the card effect. You draw an extra card. Or you draw a card, and it'd be extra off of whatever else you get. Allure of Darkness, really good. Draw 2 cards for the price of 1 card. But you have to banish a dark card from your hand. But guess what? Translation, you can get it back. Plus, no biggie anyways. I mean, and also you're almost always going to have the dark, so you don't have to worry about the other effect, really. Then we have Drag Down into the Grave. This card is absolutely amazing. You pretty much go through your hand, activate all the card effects you need, send stuff to the grave, pop stuff off your opponent's side of the field, special summon guys, and then with your last 2 cards in your hand, one is Drag Down into the Grave, one is whatever else. Plus, you can also set, like say a multiple of this, set one, or multiple like spell cards, set them if you want to activate this. So pretty much just make it so it's one guy you want to discard and this card in your hand. You activate this card, then you can discard the card your opponent has, and your opponent has to discard one you have, which would be the only one you want them to discard. And then on top of that, then you both draw a card. Also, this deck can be sort of helpful for milling through opponent's deck and getting his stuff, and getting rid of stuff that you don't really want them to have. Next, 2 Upstart Goblin, because it just helps the deck be more consistent. Now, you can definitely take these out for more stuff you want, like more Dark Worlds. That would be perfectly fine. Just, this makes it slightly more consistent, and I like it at 2. And again, side deck is down there at the bottom. It is not really a side deck, but I'll explain everything in there in a minute. So, 3 Dark World dealings. Pretty much a card you cannot not have 3 in this deck, because draw a card, discard, and then even in emergency situations, you draw first. So, I mean, you'll always get something out of it, but the discard effect is mostly what you're going for. But, again, everything in Dark Worlds has to do with discarding, so it's a good card. Foolish Barrel sends a guy to the grave. You know, just send Grapha if you can get him back immediately. No, you won't get his discard effect, but oh well. Magical Mallet, because I love this card, if you can't tell from 2 deck profiles I have. But still, ignoring that, I love this card because anytime, in any situation, you don't have the best hand. Magical Mallet, shuffle any things you don't want back into the deck. Draw all the same number of cards. Amazing. It helps with consistency so much, if you ask me at least. Plus, you sort of tend to have a hand with this deck. You'll have a hand, and if it's bad, Magical Mallet. Or you won't have a hand because, well, you did a bunch of stuff. And Dark World never really has a situation that's like, oh, I can't do anything. It seems to always be one of those things where you always have something to do. Unless you're opponent is focusing on banishing everything you have, then that may or may not be a problem. But you can probably tell that in the current meta, that's not really common. So, anyways, Gates of Darkwood, field spell card. It boosts you guys up 300 attack, which is fantastic. Makes Grapha 3000, Snow 2000, Bayesian 19, makes stuff beaters, increases Archfiend, Brow, all your monsters. Now, yes, your opponent can control fiends too, but then Big Whoop, it's kind of just like nothing happens. And with this, banish your fiend from your grave, discard a fiend from your hand, boom, you get that guy's effect if it was a Dark World, and then you can also draw, and then you draw a card. Fantastic, you get this card effects that you need, and you draw more cards from the deck. What's really amazing about Dark Worlds is they tend to easily get what they need when they need it, no matter what, sort of. I mean, yeah, discard stuff, you draw, you discard, you draw, you discard, you search, you discard, you gain advantage, discard, you destroy cards. The deck is sort of control. Not really, though. It's more control, I would say, even though Grapha can be very aggressive, having 3,000. And he gets even more aggressive later on. I'll explain that. Mind Crush, because everything you play against either searches, so you can discard the card they search, or you can equivalently guess and get it. So, really easy. And, otherwise you discard a random card, which a lot of times will be a Dark World, and then you will get its effect. So there's that. Reckless Greed, because you draw 2 cards off of 1 card, so again, consistency, it helps. 2 Mirror Force, get rid of stuff that's too strong and going to deal too much damage stuff. Explains itself. It's obvious. Staple, Torrential. Eradicate Epidemic Virus, because you can use it, and you use it in any deck you can use it, because it's too good. You just destroy Grapha, Big Whoop, you're going to get them back anyways. And then you choose Spell Traps, and then you just get rid of them off your opponent's side of the field, and any ones they draw, you get to see what card it is for one. So, even if it's not a Spell Trap card that you called, like Spell or Trap, if it is, they would get discarded. But if it isn't, well, then Mind Crush it. If it's something important, you now know what it is, so Mind Crush it. And, I mean, you're going to get the Grapha back anyways if you discard it, so yeah. And there's other targets for that, depending on what other cards you're using in attack. Next we have Dark Smog. I would only run this at 1. You can run 2, but I prefer 1 because it's a once per turn discard, which yes is a good card. But there's definitely other cards you could be in the deck with, and you don't really need more than 1 in the field, personally, I would think. I mean, I guess you can use more than 1, it's just sort of, you don't need to. But, I mean, hey, you can banish monsters in your opponent's grave, and you also can't activate this effect if there's not a monster in their grave, so that could be a disadvantage, I guess, for the beginning of the game, maybe. But yeah, you know, it's all about what you want. I'm not saying, oh, make the deck exactly like this. I'm saying change up a little bit. That's why I have all these guys in the bottom. I'm going to show you. Skill drain, because why not? You guys, like, there's no real effects that happen on the field that you would care about that much. Archfiend is the exception, but if you need to activate skill drain, you can live without Archfiend. It literally just stops so many decks. It's such a good card, especially if you can still play with this card in the field. And Dark Worlds can do that. Fantastic. Solemn Warning, you know, it's Solemn Warning. And then Extra Deck. Giving you a quick skim through, pause the video if you want to look at anything that's in here. This is just based off of other decks I've seen. But in all honesty, there you are. Extra Deck. In all honesty, I almost absolutely never make any cards in the Extra Deck. Mostly just because it's like Grapha. It's a good card, you really don't need to overlay him. But, again, you can if you need to. You only be discarded. On the field only to summon Grapha. On the field to discard stuff. So, I mean, if you're playing a slow deck, I mean, you might be able to overlay 2 Archfiends. Or overlay the Graphas because you're going to get them back anyways. But, against most decks, I wouldn't really use an Extra Deck. But I would, of course, still have one, because you don't want to be unprepared. I mean, really, you have to have the Extra Deck. just there at least. But yeah, if you want to see what cards I had, then rewind the video. Too late now, ain't bringing them back. And then we move on to this. So, second dog Smog, because it's like, you know, if you really feel like you can put it in, maybe give it an Upstart or something, because Upstart's not too relevant, because 1,000 life points given to your opponent can actually matter, whether you believe it or not. Most people say it wouldn't, because this adds consistency to your deck, and I would agree it adds consistency, but 1,000 makes a difference, because there's Soul Charge, which they can bring back a monster, which could fully change the game, and there's other decks that might play Skill Drain. It's like, oh, I'm at 800 life points, but Skill Drain can win me the game. Upstart Goblin, what? They activate Skill Drain? I mean, yes, that's a stupid situation. You're that close to winning. Why would you activate Skill Drain if they have, like, nothing to worry about? But I'm just giving examples. So, that's up to you. Hand Destruction, because this is not a card I recommend adding. I just wanted to actually just point it out there. If you want to read through these guys' effects, they're discarded, not sent. This sends them from your hand to the grave. Now, as far as I'm aware, that won't activate their effects. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they will not. So, do not use this card. Do not use cards that say send from your hand. You have to discard, otherwise you will not get the effects. Now, even if this does give you the effects, then if it does give you the effects, go ahead, use it. I recommend not, because it requires you and your opponent to both send 2 cards, and then you draw 2. Not draw 2, then discard 2. So, more limited usage, and you have enough consistency as is, so you really don't need it. Upstart, if you really feel like playing 3, you can, but it's your choice. Tour Guide from the Underworld, because it does work. You can special summon Prow from your deck and overlay for, I don't know, Acid Golem, maybe for damage. Ghost Trick Alucard, because you can destroy set cards, but because you have so much advantage in this deck, I find most of the time you don't need her. Like, you would draw her, and it's like, oh, well, I needed a different card right now. This doesn't work too well. It's like, I have Skill Drain, I feel like I can't get your effect. Or it's like, oh, I didn't need this at all. Like, I can special summon 3 Grapples this turn anyways. But, you know, using this card to special summon, I don't know, having a different card instead of this to summon, like, an extra guy would have been better. So, personally, I don't like Tour Guide. Well, I take that back. I don't like Tour Guide in this deck that much. So, I recommend not using her, but again, everything about this is change up what you want to change up. Transfer Stream, because you can use 3, you get it more often, pretty decent effects. You tend to not need a normal summon, and when you do, it's normally beige. And now that brings me to the next topic, using Silva or Lucent. No, not Celt. I don't know why I said it's Celt at the top. I'm pretty sure his real name's Lucent. But, anyways, when they're discarded to the grave by card effect, you special summon them from the grave. Then, they get extra, a lot of cards in this deck get extra effects if they're discarded by an opponent's card effect. Most of the time it doesn't happen unless you're playing a mirror match. And for anyone that doesn't know what that means, it means you're playing another of the same deck. But, I mean, if that's going to happen, you're going to have to change the way your deck plays a lot. You won't play normally at all, so you kind of don't have to worry about their other effects. But I'm not going to explain them. Feel free to read them if you want. So anyways, these guys just stronger, get special summon the same way Brow does. I mean, Beige, not Brow. Brow draws extra cards. But Beige you can normal summon, which I find to be a little helpful at times. Plus, if you're gonna get these guys to the field, you're probably not you. Go away, Translate Tree. But like, if you're gonna get these guys to the field, then like, you're probably gonna just pop them back to the hand, bounce back to the hand for Grapha, because you're stronger. But yeah, whatever, your choice. Next guy. Really iffy card to use, but I still like him. Because I would definitely use him over Silva or Lucent, but I still, Grapha, best card in the deck. But anyways, this guy, if he's discarded by an, like, this is also, I forgot to point this out, only for when you go against me in a match. Only ever use this card, and probably only one of this card when you're going against another Dark World deck. Simply because its only real effects you only get them when your opponent uses a card effect. And then with that, you can destroy all cards they control. Now, there is a variant of this deck that you can pretty much focus on destroying your opponent's cards, which would use less of Grapha and more of cards on the side like, I don't know, Ceruli, because special summon to your opponent's side of the field and makes you discard a card. So you can you can discard Ceruli, special summon to your opponent's side of the field, force you to discard a card, discard this guy, and destroy all spell and trap cards they control. Heavy Storm, and you get this guy back on your field. And attack that for damage, no matter what else they have from monsters they have on the field. Yes, it works good. Still recommend this form of the deck a lot better because, you know, well, Skill Drain can affect this deck a lot more, and Skill Drain's a great card. And just because the way this deck plays is a lot more consistent in working. But yeah, so overall, that's the deck, and if you want to recommend any changes to it, then leave a comment down below in the description. So anyways, guys, thank you all for watching, and hit the like button, subscribe, and comment any random thing down below saying random stuff. And yeah, thanks for watching again. Have a great day. Bye.